Now it's always nice to come back to the BIC. Every time I'm here, I really enjoy myself, with good reason. And it's always nice when you have a special car to drive as well. So this time, I think it gets a little extra special because I haven't done one of these driving interviews in a while. So today it's not just a special car, the RS5, but also a special person who I haven't actually met with for a while. And so sitting right here with me is Rahil Ansari. Wonderful to see you. See, I take my hand off the wheel, drive slow just for a little while, just so we get the formal introduction out of the way.
Perfect.
How have you been?
I'm good. It's been an extremely exciting phase. A lot of things coming up, a lot of changes in terms of policies, everything. I think the market is very dynamic. So it's been an interesting year so far, especially because of a couple of launches that we had this year. So it's an exciting phase. Speaking of the formal bit, the introduction,
What's with the jacket? I mean, it's the car's telling me 40 degrees outside, and we're in an RS5. That's not like you to be in a formal jacket.
So I would probably like,
especially you. I mean,
so I'll
other guys
probably quote Coco Chanel. She basically said, in order to be irreplaceable, one has to be different. So that's probably the intention with this.
All right, I'm going to let you get away with that one, because with you I expect something more flamboyant for the different part.
Unfortunately, the cameras cannot cover my shoes, so that would be probably very interesting.
That's true. All right, so that out of the way. You said it's been an interesting year already. Half of it's gone by. How has the first half been for Audi?
I think it's been a little bit of an up and down in both ways. Ups in the sense of we've launched extremely exciting cars. The Q5 diesel, the RS5, and now just recently the Q5 petrol. That's very interesting, very exciting. Of course, when I talk about the lows or the challenges, I would rather consider them of this year. It's been clearly the changes in terms of policies with the union budget, in terms of the implementation. Of course, the rupee is not as strong as it should be in an ideal scenario. So that's, of course, typically what happens in the business. At the same time, it's a very dynamic and competitive market environment. Competition is always good. I think that stimulates what you can do better and challenges you a little more to do things differently. So it's good.
But things have been crazy with, I think in many ways, your rivals really upping their game because, there were, especially if you look at brands like BMW or even JLR or even Volvo now, they are doing things a little differently this year. So keeps the pressure on you, I know, but that's a good thing in a way.
It's a good thing in a way, as you rightly say. I mean, we are now also about to launch some special editions on the Q3 and on the Q7. I think the next 12 to 36 months will be very exciting for Audi because we're in the middle of preparation for new cars coming up, while we would have launched one or the other car earlier in an ideal scenario. There are a couple of reasons why some of the cars will come at a later stage, but I guess overall we are getting prepared, especially when I look at future technologies, electric vehicle, just to mention. There's a lot of traction that happens already in terms of preparation. So I think there will be still an exciting phase, while that's still some time to go and there's a gap to cover this. We are still not giving up the hope, and I'm always very positive when it comes to doing things differently, especially things like this when you drive on a track. So this weekend is all about, for us, the Audi sports car experience.
And we haven't done this before, so that's good. We're finally getting to do the in-car chat. But you want to tell me what car you're talking about, the launches coming up? Come on, got to give me something here.
So I've been given basically instruction from my PR team not to disclose any of those
guys.
They are very strict with me. Of course, everyone knows that within the next 6 to 12 months we're going to launch the luxury car, the world luxury car of the year, which is the A8. I think everyone is really looking forward to it, not because it's a car for us that defines a big change in terms of volume, but it's probably also make or break in terms of image and distinction of the brand image, because that clearly also reflects the true advancement of technology for Audi, because that car is just amazing. So once that comes up, I think a couple of things will change from an image perspective for us, clearly. Of course, there are other cars in the pipeline which you will, you will probably assuming. Unfortunately, I will not be in a position to comment.
Well, there's that and the other sedan. Let's just say
no. But there's good stuff in the pipeline. Let's put it this way. Exciting stuff.
All right, fair enough. Going back to the A8 and then the other sedan. Let's not name it, but you know which one I'm talking about. You know, there's been so much talk about how SUVs keep sort of, you know, expanding, growing, taking all the attention away from the sedans.
Yeah.
How true is that, and how much pressure, therefore, is it to keep that sedan end going, especially in India? Because globally we keep hearing things, but India is not necessarily the same.
I think the Qs have been very successful for us, like overall SUVs. You see a shift from sedans to SUVs, clearly. That's happening globally, but especially in India. So while sedans were clearly the preferred choice in the earlier years with the brand Audi, now it's like a balance between both, which is good. It's not really putting pressure on the sedans, I would say, because sedans are still like very well appreciated by our customers. But of course, it also puts us into a situation which is more favorable, because we've been the first one to launch an SUV in India with the Q7 11 years back. So, and we have done a lot of firsts, where with the Q3 in the year 2012, we were the first one to also enter the entry segment for an SUV. That helped us to establish ourselves and position ourselves as an SUV brand. And I see that rather as an advantage for us, because Audi is clearly also known for good SUVs. It's not over yet. We will definitely launch some more SUVs in the country, some SUVs that we have not seen before. So that will definitely also enable us to also come back stronger.
Now, there's two questions that come out of that straight away. You know, you pretty much owned that space for the longest time. Yeah. Now, of course, everybody else had to play catch up, and they did. You know, there's a lot more products now coming at you in all these, you know, different Q segments than what you had earlier. So, given that sort of a thing, how urgent is it for you to sort of recapture some of that? Because, you know, you were pretty much the benchmark, you were the standard when it came to SUVs in the luxury space. There has been a lot more coming at you, like I said. So, how are you dealing with some of that?
See, I think
and how much has the new Q5 helped to overcome some of that?
I think overall it's good for the customer, and it's good for us also if customers have choices.
You know, people need to hear what you're saying, so I should behave myself.
So competition is always good. It helps you to do things probably differently, challenge you a little more. You're right. We've always owned that space for us, see what it is. It's the SUV business, or typically also the automotive business, is a very cyclic business. So whenever you bring in more products, that will also immediately generate your sales and increase your sales, but at the same time also change your positioning, mostly, or in an ideal scenario, in a positive manner, which is the case with the Q5. The Q5 diesel we launched now in January. The response so far was really good. We were happy with it. I think in the first 4 months of the year we still not have had full availability of the car, so now you see exactly that traction starting. On top of this, we've just now launched the Q5 petrol, and that's also an interesting trend, because it's
how significant is that trend?
So it's gaining now more and more importance. So there's on the one hand a shift to SUVs, and on the other hand you see a shift from diesel to petrol. So in the year 2015 we had 90% diesel, 10% petrol. Last year we had already a mix of 70-30, which shows how important the petrols are going to be for us, because we expect actually a further shift towards petrol. Until 2020 it should be around 50-50. There are three reasons for this. One is obviously also there's a smaller gap when it comes to the liter price from diesel to petrol. Then at the same time, customers stereotypically perceive the petrol as more expensive in terms of total cost of ownership. That has changed, because people realize that if they drive a lower mileage, petrol makes more sense from that perspective, from the cost of ownership perspective. And at the same time, of course, the drivability of a petrol is preferred by some of the customers. I think it's overall a good experience. It's a good shift for us, and that helps us also to really diverse our portfolio, put our portfolio on different pillars. Fortunately, we had that in mind already earlier, that strategy, because we've been always, with the Q5 petrol launch, we have now diesel as well as petrol available in the entire product portfolio for all the cars.
And pretty much, is that now a given that you can't really do a new model launch without both fuel types?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the trend, that's the essence. Obviously, there are some exceptions like the sports cars, but then if you talk about the main ranges, you need to have a petrol in place, because if you look at even typically diesel-oriented markets like Gujarat or the southern part of the country, they had a very, even last year, they had a much lower mix of petrol. So in Gujarat, for example, we had a mix of 14%, and now it's around 27% of petrol already. So that has changed just overnight. So it's a big shift. It's good. I think you see that it gives a customer more choices in the entry segment. And yeah.